Hello and welcome to another video. Today is the last day of Great League, so I wanted to have a bit of fun using some moves and Pokemon that are very rarely seen in the hopes that we can catch people completely off guard and land some massive nukes. This team is definitely not meant for climbing, especially not with these moves, but oh boy has it been fun to use, and yes, we land multiple Hyper Beams. Let's take a look at the battles. Going into the first game, we lead into a Medicham. Good lead for Shadow Dragonite, but it does lose the zero shields because one Dragon Claw is not enough and one Ice Punch is. So we do have to shield up the first move as they get to it here, and then they're gonna swap out, which is how you would usually play the Medicham part of this matchup. They swap into a Noctowl. We don't really have a response to it. We don't go for the Dragon Claw. Noctowls usually don't shield the first move, so we just go straight for the Hyper Beam. There is no way they see this coming. Boom! And we take out the Noctowl. Great start to the first game. What are they gonna bring in now? They bring in a Charizard. It will be switch locked, so we bring in the Quagsire. We want the Jellicent on the Medicham. They go up to the Blast Burn after 7. And they're gonna go straight for it. Resisted Blast Burn. Boom! Massive damage. It's 4 for the Dragon Claw afterwards. So we go for the Stone Edge right before they get to it. Now the opponent can overfarm, but they have to throw in order to not have to take another Stone Edge. So they do throw another Dragon Claw here. So there should be 2 over, 2 away from the next one. So now I'm thinking I'm probably just going to bring in the Dragonite to soak some energy here. And then I think Jellicent should be able to clean this matchup. Landing that Hyper Beam is just going to be so crucial for this game. But we don't have Surf on the Jellicent, which could be kind of bad against this Charizard. Also, the Blast Burn is the move we want to shield. It does more damage than a Psychic from Medicham, although it is resisted. So I do shield up the first move and they bait with the Dragon Claw. Yikes. And then they try to catch the Surf on their Medicham. Little do they know, they were trying to catch a Shadow Ball all along. So they do catch the Shadow Ball. And then we get to another one before they get to another move. I want to throw this as quickly as possible because I don't want to take the Psychic, putting me into a range where one move from the Charizard could KO. As you can see here, the Blast Burn does a lot of damage. Taking even an Ice Punch from Medicham would have been crucial, but the Blast Burn is not quite enough to take out the Jellicent from this range, and that is a good game. Next game, lead into another Medicham. Maybe people have been watching my last video thinking they want to lead Medicham into all the Lickitungs they're all of a sudden seeing. Once again, play out the same way, have to shield up the first Ice Punch, and then they swap into a Lantern, we swap into Quagsire. This is of course always a pretty good matchup, but with Earthquake, it's probably a little bit better because you don't have to throw one move. Lantern knows it can lift the first move from Quagsire, usually, because it's usually running Mud Bomb, but with an Earthquake, that just completely one-shots the Lantern and down it goes. Now what do they bring in? Also Medicham can live a Mud Bomb quite easily. They bring it in. We go up to 8 counters, so we can potentially CMP them with the Psychic. That's what I'm trying. Go for the Earthquake. They have to respect this. They have to shield their Medicham. And now they overfarm a lot. Go up to right before we get to another Earthquake. Very nice counting by my opponent. And then go for the Ice Punch. They do have a lot of energy on this Medicham, so I don't want to get in my Dragonite against the loaded Medicham. Put in the Jellicent instead. It can a lot easier tank these moves. They do go for the Psychic, and then they bring in a Noctowl. Yikes. Although, is it yikes? Because we have Ice Beam. This would usually be an absolutely terrible matchup for Jellicent, but with the Ice Beam, we put the Noctowl into a range where Dragonite can handle it. They do get to move on the Dragonite, but they should be 5 away from the next one. So we can load up to the back-to-back Dragon Claw, go for the first one. They should grab the shield. And then the Noctowl is so low that we can just go for the second Dragon Claw. And they should take out the Noctowl. The Medicham has no energy, so we should be able to outpace that as well. So the opponent concedes the match. Ice Beam coming in clutch against the Noctowl. Very nice. Next game, lead into a Sableye, also a good lead, but once again, one Dragon Claw is not quite enough to take out in the zero shield, so Dragonite does lose the zero shields, it only does about 41%, so we do have to shield up, and then once again, my opponent swaps out. But I'm thinking, they're probably expecting me to have Superpower. We know that I'm not running Superpower, but the opponent doesn't, so they do shield it. They were probably expecting me to Superpower and dip, which is something you do a lot with the Dragonite. Bring in the Quagsire, the opponent goes for a Zap Cannon in order to try and get the debuff, but no. They don't get it, and we get to this Earthquake. Once again, Registeel can easily lift this. They can just no-shield. It's only a Mud Bomb. No, it's not. We one-shot the Registeel. They bring back in this Sableye. They should be 6 away from the next foul play, because they threw it immediately. It is 6-6-5, so we can't go up to 1 before they get to it. Go for the Stone Edge. They have to shield it in order to have the Sableye still be alive. And then they go up to 9, I think, so they should be 2 away from the next foul play after this. And then we can bring in the Dragonite. They swap into a Bastiodon. Without Surf, this is actually really yikes. Bastiodon has a very comfortable matchup, but the opponent doesn't know we are not running Surf, so they concede the match. That would have been very close, actually. Next game, lead into Shadow Load and Sandslash, the core breaker. We go up to right before we get to a potential superpower, and then catch the move on Jellicent. Some people throw after 5, because you get to it after 5. Some people throw after 6, catch it after 6. Most people throw after 6, I think. This is a very bad matchup for Jellicent. But what it can do is, it can tank the Ice Punch, and then tank another Drill Run, and still get to a Shadow Ball. But my opponent swaps into an Altaria. They don't know we have Ice Beam, we land the Ice Beam, doesn't do quite enough. But once again, it puts the Altaria into a range where the Dragonite can handle it without having to expend a shield. So this is actually very fine. Now the Sandslash has quite a lot of energy still. And our switch timer comes up significantly, like a lot of time before the opponent, but they swap into an Azumarill instead, or they bring in an Azumarill instead. This is actually where we want to use the energy. They don't know we're running Hyper Beam, we go straight for it, does massive damage to the Azumarill. Now we can bring in the Quagsire. They go up to 7 bubbles, meaning they can have the Hydro Pump here. We do shield it, it is the Hydro Pump, very nice. Now they should be 5 away from any move, so we can overfarm a lot with Quagsire, then go for the Stone Edge. Kind of a shame we're not running Mud Bomb, especially because there's a Alolan Sandslash in the back. The Stone Edge is, yeah, I mean, Mud Bomb is definitely the move you want on Quagsire. Running Stone Edge here is just an absolute disaster, or running Earthquake here is an absolute disaster. Go for the first Stone Edge, but at this point I'm thinking, I don't think I'm getting to 2 more moves, so I'm trying to Mud Shot it down instead, or like put it into a range where I can Dragon Breath it down. They go for a Drill Run because an Ice Punch is not quite enough. The Ice Punch does about 31%, I think. Yes, 31%. They do get to an Ice Punch on the Quagsire. Please don't have another one. They do have another one for the Dragonite, and we just about lose this game, unfortunately. Very close to beating a Shadow Load and Sandslash lead, which is probably the worst lead you can face with this team. Next game, lead into a Shadow Charizard. Also, pretty good lead for Shadow Dragonite, because you can shield once and then farm them down. Once again, my opponent is aware of this, so they throw one move and then they swap into a Quagsire. We don't really have a response to this, so we just stay in with Dragonite, which is actually a pretty good matchup here. Go for the Dragon Claw, they shield it. Now we go for another one. They should be at 8 Mud Shots, so if they bait, they should be 3 away from the Stone Edge. So I'm thinking, if they go Stone Edge, we shield it and farm them down. If they go Mud Bomb, we can shield it and then catch it on the Quagsire. Very nice. So now we save the Dragonite for later. They throw the Stone Edge on Quagsire. We farm them all the way down. They still have a shield advantage for Charizard, which is of course never ideal. But we do have some energy on Quagsire. They have no energy on Charizard. They throw up to the Dragon Claw. Then they swap into Swampert, trying to catch a move on their Swampert. We go for the Earthquake instead of the Stone Edge. This does massive damage to the Swampert. And now we can't get to another Stone Edge. I think my opponent miscounted a little bit. So they let us get to a Stone Edge, which is not ideal for them. So they have to shield it. And then they have to go for a Hydro Cannon in order to take me out. I know they're 3 away from the Earthquake, so I'm thinking we can bring in the Jellicent, do 2 hexes, wait a turn, and then swap into Dragonite to try and catch the Earthquake. But instead, we end up just Dragon Breathing the Swampert down with all that energy. They bring in the Charizard, go for the Dragon Claw to take out Dragonite. But yeah, there's nothing this Charizard can do, so we're just gonna show them we're not just running Earthquake Quagsire, we're also running Ice Beam Jellicent, and you just lost to it. Very nice. Also, this opponent was actually streaming at the time, so wanted to put on a show. Next game, lead into a Spark Lantern. Good lead for Dragonite, or pretty decent lead. If they go for a Surf, then a Thunderbolt, we will be able to get to 2 Dragon Claws on the CMP. But because they go Thunderbolt, we will be able to go for a Dragon Claw, and then we can farm them down before they get to another Thunderbolt. They can get to a Surf and a Thunderbolt, so they would be able to get off a Surf here. They try to go for the Thunderbolt, they're not able to, so we come up with a lot of health and a lot of energy. They bring in the Noctowl. We can get to the Hyper Beam on the CMP. Will they shield this? Please no shield it. Come on, opponent. No, they shield it. But this puts the Noctowl into a range where 1 Stone Edge from the Quagsire is enough. A Stone Edge does about 58%. So adding up the Mud Shots as well, we should be able to take out this Noctowl. They get to another Sky Attack. They throw it immediately. So they should be 5 away from the next one. 6, 6, 5 for the Sky Attacks for Noctowl. So we can do 4 more. We could do 5 and CMP them, but I decided to do 4 more and then wait a turn to throw in the middle of their wing attack. Go for the Stone Edge. It just about takes out the Noctowl. They bring in a Sableye. A Stone Edge is not enough to put the Sableye into a range where Jellicent can farm it down. But an Earthquake does massive damage. Now you can bring in the Jellicent, and these Hexes are doing a lot. Of course, the Shadow Claws from Sableye are also doing a lot. They throw a move on pretty bad timing. They should be 2 away from the next one, so we should be able to get 1 more Hex in. And we are. But this foul play is actually not enough to take out a Jellicent. Jellicent is a thick boy. It only does about 54%, so we get in 1 more Hex, and now we should be able to Mud Shot down the Sableye. Earthquake coming in clutch. Next game. Yikes. Lead into a Galarian Stunfisk. We don't have superpower. Once again, some people throw off the 5 here, some people throw off the 6. So I sack the Jellicent into the Rock Slide, and we actually get a Hex through as well because we swapped in 1 turn before they threw the Rock Slide. Then you can get the Pokemon in there before they throw it, and then you're gonna sneak in the move as well if you sack 1 turn before. They go for an Earthquake. They're staying in against the Jellicent, so I'm thinking they must be really weak to Jellicent. Also, I'm pretty sure I know exactly which team this is because this person actually told me on Twitter or in the comment section of YouTube that they're running my team right now, and they're having a lot of success with it. So when they bring in the Medicham, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know this is a Shadow Charizard in the back. Also, I'm thinking I don't want to throw the Shadow Ball. I know I can live a Psychic from Medicham, so save the move on Jellicent, bring in the Dragonite to farm down the Medicham, go for the Dragon Claw immediately because I know the Stunfisk has a move. They do shield it up. I don't think it would have quite been enough, but maybe they were afraid of the superpower. It does about 19%. It would have been very close with the Dragon Claw. They go for the Rock Slide. Doesn't quite take out the Dragonite. They farm us down, but now they're still switch locked, so we can bring in the Quagsire to get a good farm down on this Stunfisk. They do get to the Earthquake, which might be the move we want to shield. It does do more damage than the Blast Burn, but they bring in the Charizard. We go for the Stone Edge right before they get to the next Dragon Claw. Can we get to 2 Stone Edge before they get to 2 Dragon Claws? That is the question. They go for the first one immediately. They should be 4 away from the next one. Can we get to the Stone Edge? We absolutely need to get to it. Jellicent cannot take out the Charizard from this range. We do get to the Stone Edge. This will absolutely annihilate the Charizard. Now we can bring in the Jellicent, go for the Ice Beam, but I absolutely overtap. So I do the Hex instead, but we do get off the Ice Beam. Of course, when I show my opponent that I'm running Ice Beam, just for fun, really. Next game, lead into a Noctowl. Dragonite can win this in the 1s and 2 shields. It wins the 2 shields because it just farms the Noctowl all the way down. It wins the 1 shields because in the 1 shields you get the Noctowl so low that 1 Dragon Claw is enough to take it out, and you get to Dragon Claws at the same pace as the Noctowl gets to Sky Attacks, or you get to the first 2 Dragon Claws at the same time as Noctowl gets to the Sky Attack. But I think trying to go for the Dragon Claw here would be the best play, but the most fun play is to just farm it all the way down. My opponent should probably swap out to not let this happen, because now we come out with a Hyper Beam. Medicham doesn't have to shield anything from this Dragonite usually, so they don't shield the Hyper Beam. Massive damage. They let us farm it down before bringing in the Toxicroak. We can't get to this Dragon Claw. They have to start shielding at this point. Now we can bring in the Hard Counter and Jellicent. My opponent realizes that's game over, and they concede the match. Next game, lead into another Noctowl. Can we do it again? Once again, they go up to the Sky Attack, they go over actually, and then throw one. We have to shield everything on Dragonite, of course. They went 2 over, and then they did 1 more, and then they bring in a Lantern. Bring in Quagsire, very good response to the Lantern, of course. They go for a Surf. This doesn't really do a lot of damage, so now we should be able to get to the Earthquake before they get to another Surf. Go up to what I think should be the CMP, and then go for the Earthquake. Lantern knows it can live a move from Quagsire usually. They let it go. We one-shot it. Goodbye. And now what do they bring in? It's just so much fun to land moves that people are not expecting. Even though this is a very dominant matchup with Quagsire against Lantern, it's still a lot of fun to land the Earthquake. Go for the Stone Edge on the Noctowl. I think my opponent might have miscounted a little bit, letting me get to the CMP tie. this Sky Attack doesn't take out the Quagsire. I don't want them to farm me down. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to another one. So swap in the Dragonite, go for the Dragon Claw on what I thought would be the CMP because I miscounted by 1. And then they get to the Sky Attack and they're staying in and throwing the Sky Attack. So they're not strong against Charizard or Dragonite in the back. What do they have? They have a Swampert. Can we get to the Hyper Beam? No, we cannot. We should have definitely gone for the Dragon Claw instead. That would have been the better play, but Hyper Beam would have been a lot more fun. And that was just a huge mistake going for that Hyper Beam, because now they're going to outpace the Jellicent to an Earthquake as well. This does so much damage to Jellicent. We can live it. We can overfarm a lot before throwing this Ice Beam, but I don't think my Jellicent is going to be able to get to another Ice Beam for the Noctowl before it gets farmed down. So I try to get to a Stone Edge and Quagsire instead to not let Jellicent get farmed down. We try to get to the Stone Edge, but we get Wing Attack down. And then the Jellicent is just going to take the Sky Attack. No, I save it. I save my Jellicent. I top left in the charge move instead. Next game, last game, lead into a Medicham. Again, they play it the same way pretty much always. Go for the Ice Punch. We have to shield it. And then they're probably going to swap out into a Noctowl. Once again, can we do it again? They overfarm with the Noctowl. We go straight for the Hyper Beam. They have a lot of energy. But that does not matter because boom, we take out the Noctowl once again. That is never not gonna be fun. Now, what do they bring in? They bring in the Medicham. They are switch locked, so I just bring in my hard counter and Jellicent immediately. And they go for a Psychic, I assume, here. Unless they don't have it, of course. No, they do have Psychic. Now we can overfarm quite a lot. And then go for the Shadow Ball to take out the Medicham. Unfortunately, once again, we're not running Surf. Surf is definitely the best way to go with Jellicent. I was really missing it a lot, especially in a situation like this, where they have a Charizard. We go for the Shadow Ball once again, really wishing we had Surf, but they have to shield it anyways. And then they overfarm a little bit more. They could have overfarmed more, but I understand my opponent's confusion in that I'm not throwing any Surfs. So it was probably a little bit difficult to keep count, because you're expecting the Surfs. They go for the CMP with this Charizard. I'm thinking, because they're throwing this Blast Burn, now looking back at it, I could have probably gotten to another Stone Edge before they get to 2 Dragon Claws. But for some reason I decided to swap into Dragonite, which is a lot more of a risky play really looking back at it. Because we are only just about getting to this Dragon Claw before the Wing Attack is down. And they should take out the Charizard, and that is another good game. That was the last battle for today, and overall this team is definitely not the best. It's not meant for climbing, but I only went slightly negative with it over 5 sets, and I had a ton of fun using it. I think maybe if you're running the proper movesets on these Pokemon, it might be okay, but I still don't think it's the best team I've ever made. Other than that, fun fact of the day, this is for the Element Cup, and I think I have mentioned it before, but Shadow Chikorita wins the 2 shields versus Shadow Quick Attack Vulpix with 1 Vine Whip's advantage. It's only if both of them are Shadow, and it's only if it's a Quick Attack Vulpix, but it's just a very good thing to be aware of, I think. If you want to see me utilize that to the greatest effect with a very good team for Element Cup, there is a very good team right here. Other than that, if you like what you see, feel like you learned something, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.